Good morning, everyone. It's Nick here. Today, we're going to talk about the new winter event ship, the Fek'lhri Vok'Tar Temporal Science Vessel. For most people, probably don't really care about the EPG play style, but I just want to say this is probably one of the best event ships we've ever gotten. I wanted to say the best, but the Garrett was really good. Like, a quick look over the event ships, everyone like a reclaim. The Voth, not really everyone's looks. The Garrett was really good. Like, and the Elios wasn't half bad, but I think for seeding, like this really gives the Garrett a run for its money. Like, I just wanna, if anyone from the Star Trek Online dev team's watching, I'll give you guys your applause where it's due, and the the performance and the scene level, that part of the seeding has been fantastic. But anyway, guys, to the build. So, for those who don't know, EPGs is predominantly a lot of console focus, and then weaving in this trait here called Spore Infused Anomalies. So there's just like an ebb and flow to these builds between your consoles, your unconventional systems procs, and your anomalies that also can be unconventional systems procs for Spore Infuse. So I also have a video on EPG rotation on my channel. But I also recommend everyone, if you don't really know about EPG rotation, you can join my Discord and ask below. This build is posted in a build thread, so if you want to have a conversation about the build, I just recommend joining the Discord, and you can ask as many questions as you would like there, because I'll be able to see them and answer away, and we can get other people too, so we can have a little bit of a conversation. Anyway, guys, the build. So for EPG, most of the time you used set bonuses for your weapons, but since the release of the Parvin on me, that's just made every single build because it just does a lot of damage. And it was nice to actually put a beam back there that having it fire all the time. So I only have one rear weapon that doesn't fire, not my normal two. But anyway, guys, first up we have the gravimetric torpedo from the Dyson rep. We have the dual overcharged Delphic anti-proton. So both of these here, you might look and go, "Oh, these are really good." The Grav Torp is somewhat helpful in this build because its secondary effect is, if you see, 33% upon detonation grants a 1 kilometer gravimetric rift for 7.5 seconds, and it's minus 3.7 repel. Why does that sound familiar? Because that's how gravity well works. So if we see minus 3.7 repel, but it's a much shorter radius. So I'm not using torpedo spread to like really take advantage of this, but if you were using torpedo spread, you fire off a bunch of gravimetric torpedoes, and you have basically mini grav wells out there from your weapon. But really, the main reason why it's on the build, as I'll scroll down, is it's a two-piece with the Dyson Proton weapon, which is this one here. It's 28.5 bonus, or not bonus, increase to photon projectile weapon damage, and 3% of crit chance increase. So we just want it for the increase in the crit chance. And the same can be said about the Dyson weapon. The Dyson weapon is a two-piece bonus with the torpedo launcher at the back here for a 1.3% critical chance increase and a 12.5 critical severity increase. Next up, we have the Disruptor wide-angle dual heavy beamback from the Discovery reputation. This can be doesn't really matter if this is the phaser or the Disruptor. I will note that I'm using the new Twinkling Nitrates from the Winter event store, so we're trying to get as many different types of weapons on this build as we can, or weapon types. So Disruptor, Phaser, Anti-Proton, Tetrion, Plasma, etc. And we did confirm today on, not today, we did confirm last weekend on Spencer's stream and myself from Bordicus. Thank you, Bordicus, that Proton isn't a subcategory of anti-proton or just a grouping. I love proton weapons. This will just be its own thing in time. Like, we're going to get proton weapons in time. That's what he said. We don't have a timeline. We don't have a thing. But Proton is going to be its own thing. He said it's always going to be a niche thing. It's never going to be a main option. It's always going to be a fun, just different thing, but it's never going to be anti-proton, disruptor, phaser, tetron, etc. Anyway, and well, the last weapon, the Dyson Proton, is just there for the set bonus. The Delphic Torpedo, just there for the set bonus. And the Parvenomi, that is there for the ridiculous amount of damage that it can do. And for my inhibiting, not my deflectors, my deflector, my secondary deflector, my impulse, my warp core, my shield. First up, we have the Gamma Synergistic Graviton Deflector Array. So I have this re-engineered, so you can see it's from a mission, not a mission, sorry, it's from a reputation, the Gamma reputation. And it can be re-engineered. So if you can see, I have it re-engineered. Pardon me. I have it re-engineered into control, EPG, and drain, plus its hull cap. The norm. So I wanted this build to have a 12-kilometer gravity well. So between a few different pieces of this being a temporal ship. So right now I'm resting at 298. With this support configuration, I'll be at 338. And with the new Etherean Salvation trait, that will put me into the 400s. And if at the start I hit quantum singularity manipulation, Jesus, I'm misspeaking today, everyone. I know I just misspeak every video, but this one's bad. That'll take you into the 400s to start, and the Etherean Salvation will then build its stacks up, and you'll be above 400 control constantly. So guys, that's the magic number for gravity well and 12-kilometer radius. You cannot go above 12-kilometer radius. That is the maximum for a gravity well. The only thing that will go higher is the minus repel. The distance will be maxed out at 12. I'll show you here. If I hit if I hit QSM, I'll be at 423, but it'll only say 12 kilometers on gravity well. But anyway, next up, we have the secondary deflector. We have the inhibiting secondary deflector. This is just a standard craft. You could use any version of the inhibiting if you would like. The reason why I didn't use the deteriorating is because I have such a console-focused build. I didn't want to try and fit in a deteriorating secondary deflector proc. I wanted as many anomalies and as many unconventional systems procs as I could get. So I focused on uncon procs, and while focusing on uncon procs, those are all inhibiting secondary deflector procs, so it just works well. Next up, we have the Romulan Advanced Prototype Impulse Engines. So the reason why these are on the builds, this is on the build compared to the competitive rep engines, is, I'll show you here, there's a little line. Second from the top, everyone, 31.9 Starship Weapon Amplification improves critical hit severity with weapons. The reason why this is on the build, everyone, is it synergizes really well with the Revolutionary Set's two-piece. So, see here. 71.6 exotic damage critical severity, scales with Starship Weapon Amplification, and that is what the Romulan Impulse Engines gives us. So they just work together really well. Because beforehand, if I take this off, I'll show you the two-piece really quickly. It is 58%. So with this getting on, we're getting a nice little increase to our critical severity from this slot that you're not going to get much else from this slot for damage wise. So with EPG, you're flying and you're parking, and your anomalies, you're spamming. So you don't really need to be moving around like a normal energy weapon build as much. So the impulse engines are a nice option to pair with the revolutionary two-piece if you have that. Well, and next up, speaking of the revolutionary two-piece, we have the revolutionary warp core and the revolutionary shield. To our devices, everyone, we have the Type 14 shuttle. This one is not necessary. We have the Kobayashi Maru transporter. This is nice. It gives us those little bit of buffs as when it's out. You don't really think about it, but you hit it and you get some nice little buffs. The temporal negotiator help with our cooldown reduction. The advanced battery advanced battery, exotic particle flood for 20% bonus exotic damage. So everyone, if you say a science build, exotic damage is your primary thing you're looking for. You're looking for +2 exotic, the EPG stat, critical chance, and critical severity. Those are the things you're looking for. Say comparatively to an energy weapon build, you're looking for +2 phaser, +2 weapon haste, +2 crit, and +2 severity. Those are your your main things, and +2 haste. So this one's a little different. You're looking for a +2 exotic and +2 exotic particle generator stat. And last but not least, the Deuterium Surplus, which should be on everyone's build. If you do not know how to get there, I have another video on how to make your ship move really fast. There's a patrol, as like a little bit of a chain. You do a mission that accesses a patrol down near Nukara and Drozana. You do that, do the mission, it gives you Deuterium, and then you're able to craft the Deuterium. Next up, we have the Credum Time Bug. This is just from the Infinity console pack, everyone. It's still really cheap. It's like 2 million EC on the exchange. When I last looked, it's probably more. Because I've quoted a number, it's going to be more. Next up, for the little bit of a theme for this build, we have Portal of the Damned. It's plus 28.5 armor pen with weapons versus foes affected by a dot, which is like almost everything on this build. And 28.5 Starship exotic particle generators. So that's your plus EPG stat right there, everyone. And then opens a portal, 30 seconds, that spawns lost souls and deals fire damage on initial activation, 2800 fire damage. But the part I really liked about this was each second minus 50 accuracy and 1100 fire damage in a 2.5 kilometer radius. So for those who don't know, accuracy means that's how like your percentage to hit. So if you have 100 accuracy as base, if you have minus 50, I don't know on that unless if it's just a straight to 50%, but if it's a 1 in 2 chance for them to miss and not do any damage to me or any of my allies, that's a nice little bit of supporting gear that will help you, your survivability, and help you do these TFOs a little bit easier. Next up, we have the Woven Console, the Subspace Fractured Tunneling Field, 30% hull regen. And the main part we care about, everyone, is the reduce recharge time of Universal Console's abilities by 25%. So I'll show you here nice and quickly. I'll hit my Temporal Disorder. It says 3 minutes. I'll hit my Woven Console. And bada boom. 2 minutes, probably in the 30 to 40 seconds, it would have just come off its cooldown reduction. You pair that with unconventional systems procs, and suddenly your consoles are cooling down rather quickly. Next up, we have the console from the ship, everyone. We have Eye of Grethor. This one is a very similar console to Genesis Seed, but it's not the damaging console like Genesis Seed. This is a control console with damage, everyone. I just want to preference that as this is a control console with damage. Its idea is it's got a really big area of effect, strong control, and it's always going for 45 seconds. So if we can see under the Soul Scream, AoE pull, reduces flight speed, turn rate. So that's its preference, everyone. It's not damaging as its primary focus. So if you look at its damaging numbers, make sure you remember that. It is not a primary damage console. It is there for the control, which works really well with builds like this, is you want everything to be in a nice little grouping. So having a console that's doing 45 seconds of control, and with all our ways to cool things down, that means you basically always have a good control method. So if you wanted to pair them together with Gravity Well and the Soul Scream, so say like one big ball, or you could do one here and one here, and just control a map really well. You can always play around with it, but it is a really fun console. And that's one thing its difference from Genesis Seed is it doesn't start to tick faster with enemies in it to then detonate. It'll just sit there until it detonates. It's not going to go off early. Next up, we have the Temporal Disorder. This is going to be like a mainstay on most of my builds for the foreseeable future that care about survivability. A ship like this is really squishy, so I thought it works well because it has a radiation explosion when they die, so that's always good with EPG. But with a ship like this as well, it's just so beautiful with the fire. I love this ship, and when you fly around, like if you haven't seen it fly around, Like, it's beautiful. So having more ships that do that was just like no-brainer to me. And it helps with my survivability and the team survivability. So it stays on a lot of my builds. Next up, we have Bioelectric Wave Capacitor. This is from the Connie 3. This is on because for an EPG build, as you can see down below, to each target in the 140-degree aft cone, almost 100,000 electrical damage. That's a massive hit. I've seen this thing into the hundreds of thousands if you boost up properly or buff up properly. So if you use the Borg console, that's very underused. If you buff up the cutting tractor beam properly, it adds 10% universal console damage up to 10 times, so it's 100% category 2 boost to all my universal consoles. So you can have this thing doing massive amounts of damage, and it's a, as you'll all see now, it's a pretty nice area of effect. So you can gravity well everything up, or soul scream everything up, and just lob that through them, and it's gonna hit massive amounts of targets for massive amounts of damage. Next up, we have the Dragon's Blood Flame Reactor, otherwise known as the Dragon's Breath, because if you've never seen this console, it's on the Hyperion Cruiser, it breathes fire in front of you. So group everything up and you breathe fire on top of it. Next up, we just mentioned the cutting tractor beam. So don't worry about the things below the top line. The top line is the only one you care about on this console. Activating a universal console adds 10% bonus damage to universal consoles for 25 seconds, stacking 10 times. So what that means is you want to preference your consoles in weakest to strongest order. So that's why this, because we do not care about what it does, we hit it first. Then we're hitting the destabilized proton eruption. Then we're hitting the lost portals of the dam, and so on and so on. You want to order from weakest to strongest, so your strongest are buffed up as much as they can when you throw them in, and they just go boom. Next up, we have the DPRM. I think most people know why this is on the build. This is on the build for the massive amounts of healing and damage resistance rating and bonus damage that this provides. This is the best single target heal in the game, and also has a really nice bonus to damage. So for a build that struggles with survivability, having a 500% hull regen, 100% bonus damage resistance rating buff is rather nice. Next up, we have the Micro Quantum Torpedo Phalanx Array. So this is the from the Achilles. Normally, this probably wouldn't be on a lot of EPG builds, but something I struggle with EPG is its single target damage. It does amazing AoE. Like, you pull 25 spheres onto one target, and you throw on some AoE. Those things will die rather quickly, but you sit there and you try to kill a Borg Cube, or a Gateway, or a Pickle-in Hive. They'll take a while, but with consoles that do massive amounts of single target damage, like the Micro Quantum Torpedo Phalanx Array, they go down a little bit quicker now. So it's a nice little balance, or the ebb and flow for this build is I save this for big single targets. But the nice part about this console is it's 10 targeted. So 10 targeted means if you target a Borg Cube, if that thing dies before all 10 hit, those things are done. But it also has 10 seeking, which means they will seek out anything and shoot it, or go towards it. It's a seeking torpedo. So we always get some damage out of this console, even if the target dies that I've targeted to, you know, the one I want to go boom. Next up, we have the Spirit of Sacrifice. Guys, this is from the Trafalgar, and I will have to, I will mention, thank you Suna. I'm sure you're not watching this video, but thank you Suna. For my stream with the devs on the 17th, I think it was, or the 16th, when I was on with the, I want to say Deca devs, but it's the, when I was on with the now Cryptic devs again, part of the deal was I had to build 2 high-end builds. So this is my high-end build for the Vok'Tar, and I had a high-end build for the Salvation. I got told, Suna said, if you had anything you needed, I said I need this because The EPG struggles with cooldown reduction, and the Trafalgar is a really good source of cooldown reduction to your captain abilities, your bridge officer abilities, and your lances. So this doesn't use the lances, but it uses the captain abilities and the bridge officers really nicely, so it's a really nice source of cooldown reduction. We have our Proton Eruptor module, guys. This is just a straight that you put this on an AoE target and it does a lot of AoE damage. And the Temporal Vortex Probe, so for the plus 19 EPG or exotic damage, the 36% turn rate, scales at Oxpower, so helps us move the ships around nicely, and the 12.5 cooldown reduction on Temporal Operative Bridge Officer abilities. So this is a Temporal Operative ship, and this gives us a nice little boost to our cooldown reduction. All right, next up, guys, our skills. So a little different for Temporal Operative ships. For science ships, you always want a primary temporal operative because of the plus 50 EPG as well as continuity. I just probably just butchered that. Basically, this is a cheat death every 3 minutes. So these builds are rather squishy and generally don't have a lot of ways to keep themselves alive. Having a cheat death every 3 minutes is rather nice. And strategist secondary. No intel because these EPG consoles and abilities generally do not flank, so we're not worrying about intel. We just want the raw stats and bonuses that strategist provides. Next up, we have our straight traits. We have a good day to die. Oh, before I go actually too far, I want a preference. Guys, this is my skill tree. I'm not going to explain it too well. This is my standard skill tree. It's standard skill tree for pretty much everyone. I do all of my builds with this skill tree. I do not swap it for any build that I do because it preferences 27 points in tactical. It has all the points in long range targeting. It has all the points in EPG. It has all the points in control, all the points in hull, weapon damage, a bit of power for everything. So it's a really well balanced skill tree to do everything that I want. So I do not ever need to swap. That is my standard skill tree. If you want a video on it and on the different points, I think Spencer's done one. I'm not 100% sure on that. But if you have any questions on the skill tree, because I've seen some questions popping up about tanking skill trees and all the rest of it, you can ask them down below or definitely join the Discord and ask them there. Next up, our traits. We have a good day to die. This allows us to use go down fighting at any point. So go down fighting is a tactical captain bridge officer ability. Is 50 bonus all damage. So that can be running 100% of the time with the right cooldown reduction methods. So that is a really nice increase to our damage. We have resonating payload modifications. We have two. So this is -5 physical and kinetic resistance rating per stack, up to 5 stacks. So guys, that's your torpedoes and your mines when you're fired, but as well, the Achilles console, the micro quantum torpedo phalanx array counts to proc this trait. And for those who don't know, EPG abilities normally are doing physical damage or kinetic damage. So this is debuffing a lot of things for this build. So if we look at our gravity well, it's kinetic. If we're looking at our Kratom approach for a second there, it's physical damage. So it's debuffing a lot of things for this build and making us do more damage. Next up, we have Particle Manipulator from our R&D Science School. So R&D, our science school. When you get this to 15, you unlock Particle Manipulator. This is 50% critical hit chance for exotic damage abilities. Scales with EPG. So when you have 250 EPG, you'll get a 50 crit hit chance and the 25.7 critical hit severity. That's scaling as well. More EPG that you have, the more crit hit severity you have. But I wouldn't worry past 250 too much. That's your goal, is 250. Next up, because I wanted this to have a good amount of control, we have Fragment of AI Tech for the plus 50 control expertise and the plus almost the cap, but 29.8 energy weapon damage. We're not really worried about the energy weapon damage, but it's nice to have. Next up, Fireball Escape. Because Fireball Escape stops us getting hit by Warp Core breaches every so often, we want this on all our squishy builds because getting hit by Warp Core breaches sucks and we don't want to get hit by them. Next, we have Fleet Coordinator. This is just the basic. When you're in a team, you have 10% bonus damage. So nice and simple, not a lot of things to think about when running it. It's just a nice buff when you're in a team. Next up, we have Terran Targeting, plus 15 crit severity. So our critical severity means when we crit, our crits will hit harder. Next up, we have the new trait, the Twinkling Lights. So when damaging a foe with Phaser Disruptor, Tetrion Polar Plasma, Polaron Plasma, and Anti-Proton, minus 20 damage resistance rating until defeated. So that means is when you hit the target, and it's only your primary target, you'll get minus 20 per affected weapon type. So I have 2 on this build, so I can get minus 40 debuff, but I can tell you, minus 40 debuff to like a primary target is noticeable. It is noticeable. So I would recommend, if you're running a mixed setup, Twinkling Lights is a really good trait, and I would pick it up. Unconventional systems. So some people hate unconventional systems, but it's just too strong not to run on a build like this. Using a Control Bridge Officer ability gives minus 7 reduction recharge to universal consoles. So, as I showed earlier, we'll hit our Temporal Disorder, and because I can hit one of my uncon procs is Photonic Shockwave, you could see it went down a little bit. So, cooling down our universal consoles, which this build is predominantly universal console focused, helps us use the Morphin. And last but not least, Psychological Warfare, 20% bonus control ability effectiveness. So this isn't helping with our damage, it's helping with our control. So it's helping with the pull of our Gravity Well and our Gravimetric Rifts and our Soul Scream, because the reduction is scaling with control. So if you see, if I take this off, it's only minus 3.1 repel instead of the beforehand 3.7. So it's a nice increase to your negative repel and your control abilities. Alright, to our Starship traits, we have Ruin of Our Enemies. So when you defeat a foe, 3% bonus all damage stacking to 100 times. So if you kill 100 enemies and keep the trait going, you have 300% bonus all damage. That's a massive amount of damage. And every 5th defeat, 15% recharge time to your Bridge Officer ability. So every time you defeat a foe, it's helping cool things down. We have Terran Goodbye. When you defeat a foe, 25 accuracy, 5 crit chance, stacking 3 times. So this is 15 severity, not 15 severity, 15 chance, and 75 accuracy. That's a nice boost to your critical chance. We have Universal Designs. When activating a Universal Console, which we activate a lot of them on this build, up to 10 critical chance and 50 severity, so just a nice boost. We have 5 magics. When dealing damage with any of the 5 magics, fire, cold, electrical, radiation, or psionic, apply the following: 5 engine power per second and 28.5 bonus damage to the 5 magics and disruptor. So it's 15, and then it scales with your engine power. So right now, because my engine power is rather high, I have a good amount from that trait. But your 5 magics, I have fire, I have electrical from the bioelectric wave, and I also have disruptor from my weapon. So I'm always got a source of the 5 magics rolling. Next up, we have a new trait for some people probably. We have the Particle Fluctuation Analysis. So activating a Universal Console grants the following buff to the self and the 4 nearby players on your team, stacking up to 10 times. So this is 10 critical chance and 10 healing critical chance, so it'll make you heal a bit more, and it's also going to make you do more crit. So this isn't just to yourself. So if you're on a team, Spencer and I tested this, is you can help your team stack this. So say you and your teammate are running this trait, you both are helping stack the trade up. So if I hit one, and say my teammate hits one, we both hit two. Because it's not going to say if 5 people are running this give you 50 chance and 500 severity. It's only going to give you a 10 and 100. But you can help each other stack this. So if you run with a person and you say you both run this trade, you can help each other stack it. So it's really nice. And and the part we don't really care about but is nice is the 2 current and maximum auxiliary power. Okay, maximum auxiliary power we do kind of care about, but you're not thinking about it. You're just looking at the crit. Stacking up to 10 times, so plus 20 is rather nice. We have spore-infused anomalies. So when activating a science or intelligibility ability, when you have an anomaly out, you have up to 17,000. I will show that off in the video I post at the end, how that works. But guys, if you have any more questions about spore-infused anomalies, Discord and comments, please ask the question, because this one is a bit more of a unique trade. As my voice is dying, apologize everyone, but I think I'm getting a bit of a cold, so I'm just trying to get through this before my voice goes. When activating a captain ability, so your captain abilities are your attack pattern alpha, there's a stack. Our tactical fleet, there's a stack. Our tactical initiative, there's a stack. Our vulnerability assessment suite, there's a stack. It's pretty sure it's bugged, but go down fighting. Nope, it's fixed. Okay, there's a stack. Our brace for impact, there's a stack. And our evasive maneuvers, there's a stack. So there's plenty of ways to get this stacking, and because it's up 30 seconds, and with our Trafalgar console now, because that calls down my captain abilities too, if you spread them out nicely, you have this up 100% of the time, and it will just have a nice bonus to your EPG, your control, and your drain. So that is up to 150 EPG, 150 control, and 150 drain, and up to 25 damage with exotic damaging abilities. So it's a nice buff to our APG builds. Alright, next up, we have advanced targeting systems for our 20% critical severity. We have 6.3 bonus EPG damage. I like to say EPG, but exotic damage, because, yeah, bad habit. We have auxiliary power configuration. Because I didn't mention this earlier, everyone, because this build isn't reliant on its weapons, we run auxiliary power as its highest, and engines as its highest, as its second highest. So auxiliary preference, then engines, and then we don't care about shields and weapons. So because of that, auxiliary power configuration is a nice source of damage. 7.8 bonus ore damage, and that will only go higher the more Ox power we have. That is working in preference, in tandem, with the new legendary nebula trait, the particle fluctuation analysis. Sorry guys, I didn't mention where that come from. Was the Uniconsole trait is the trait from the legendary nebula. Apologize everyone. We have Tyler's duality, 4% crit chance based on hull capacity, up to 7.5% at 200,000. Well, we won't be getting there. We're just taking the 4. And we have precision, 5% critical hit chance. So guys, those are my traits. These are my active space reps. These will not change for any of my builds. We have anti-time. We have quantum singularity manipulation. We have refracting tetryon cascade. We have deploy sensor interference platform, and we have biomolecular shield generator. This will not change on any of my builds. Those are my standard 5. Now we have our stations. I have it in the EPG rotation guide to talk about the way to rotate EPG, but these are my stations. We have tractor beam. We have subspace vortex 2. We have very cold in space 3. We have fire at will 1. We have ionic turbulence. We have emergency powder engines. We have jam targeting sensors. We have scramble sensors. We have photonic shockwave, Heisenberg amplifier, chronometric inversion field, timeline collapse 1, and gravity well 1. So guys, I know I was sped over that. A lot of these are for unconventional systems procs, so this is all for unconventional systems procs. Unconventional systems proc. This is for a spore infused anomaly and damage, so I want to show it off quickly. Very cold space is a spore infused anomalies and damaging source. Ionic turbulence is uncon and spore infused. Fire at will is for, and no, I'm going with this, I just don't want this video to be too long. Fire at will is for a Parvin Omni, so it keeps my Parvin Omni AoEing and doing a lot of damage. Heisenberg Amplifier is an unconventional systems proc. Chronometric Inversion Field is a unconventional systems and spore infused. And the same again, unconventional and spore infused. Gravity Well, unconventional and spore infused. So guys, I'm going to show you my duty officers, as one of them has fallen off. I don't know why that has happened, but that should be 32 of 47. So we have 31 of 47, 26 of 47. Guys, if you don't know what they are, they're probably too expensive. We have Psi and Temporal increase to damage over time and exotic damage, so both things we like. We have 26, we have increased to damage over time and critical chance, both things we like. We have the Emergency Con hologram. Because I wanted this build to be more pug friendly, I left this in, but it's a bit of an oversight because if you run the Trafalgar console, you don't actually need that duty officer anymore. But for those who don't have the Trafalgar console, I left it in because having evasive maneuvers cooldown, I think, is rather important for most pug environments, so I left it in. We have 32 of 47, improved to critical severity and exotic damage, so both things we like. And last but not least, we have two projectile weapon officers, one for chance and one for severity. The reason why we run this over an energy weapon one is because we're going to fire more torpedoes and they have a higher chance, so instead of having a unbuff fire at will or an unbuff energy weapon, which we do have a buffed energy weapon this time, not stacking very often, this is going to give us a higher chance to stack. Anyway, guys, that is the build. I know I sped through the last little bit as quickly as I could because I'm looking down at the timer. I'm almost at 40 minutes. Guys, if you have any questions about this build, please do ask down below in the comments or join my Discord. I do recommend if you have any, if you have a in-depth question you want to answer or a discussion you want to have with me or anyone in my Discord, I really do recommend you join my Discord because I don't see it as much anymore, but I used to see it a lot when I was doing more videos. Was you'd get some question about a build that I did in like the wiki Discord or the builds Discord or in Spencer's Discord, and I don't see it for 2-3 weeks, and I look and then it's just questions have been answered, and they're, to be honest, they're a lot of the time they're not what I wanted, they're not my thought process. So if you want to know what I was thinking when I made this, join my Discord because then I'll be able to see it in real time. Anyway, guys, I appreciate those who made it to the end. Probably not many of you did because this is a long video. Build videos always are. But for those who did, I appreciate you. I'll see you all next time. There'll be a hive at the end here. I also will link my EPG rotation guide to talk about how to, do EPG. And I'll see you all next time.